In the first video of this coat making series, I shared with you my plans for my new winter coat. Now I am excited about video 2 in this series because this time we're going to adjust the pattern and make muslin to evaluate the fit. Hi, if you're new here, my name is Izzy, and on this channel I absolutely love to share my sewing and fitting adventures as I try to make myself a mostly me-made wardrobe. Alright, so as I said in the first video in this series, I talk about the pattern I'm using, the fabrics I'm using, the lining, and all of that good stuff. So if you missed video 1, I'm going to link to it up here somewhere and in the video description. So you might want to get caught up with that before we dive right into this video. All right, so how this video is going to be structured. So there are basically going to be 3 parts to it. In the first part, I'll walk you through prepping the pattern before I even cut the muslin. There is one adjustment I knew I would need to make even before cutting it, so I did that and talk you through that. Then in the second part, I'm actually going to try the muslin on and talk through the adjustments I'm seeing or the little tweaks that I'm going to want to make to the pattern before I cut into my final fabric. So you'll see the muslin on, you'll see all of the landmarks I marked everywhere, and what my plans are to make the coat fit really, really well. Again, we're not after perfection. There is no such thing, but I'd like to get a really, really good fit. And then finally, in the third part of this video, I'm going to show you how I'm doing those adjustments to my pattern pieces. Yeah, I'll just demo the step-by-step of how I'm doing them because I do want to transfer those adjustments to my pattern pieces before I cut into my wool. All right, so grab a beverage of choice and let's go with making the muslin. All right, so to make my muslin, I'm only going to take 3 pieces from the pattern. So obviously, I'm going to need 1 sleeve. I don't typically make both sleeves unless the pattern is a knit, because with the stretch and everything, you really want both sleeves on to make sure the stretch is balanced, if that makes sense. But in the coat, which is not super fitted and is in a woven fabric, I usually only make 1 sleeve. So I'm going to need my sleeve pattern. I'm obviously going to need my front piece and then the back piece. Now, before I even cut the muslin, because I've made so many Cashmerette patterns for myself, I know a couple of adjustments I'll need to make, or 1 adjustment I'll absolutely need to make, and that is to lower the bust dart. So what I've done, this is so easy. What you basically do is you trace a box around the dart, you cut on that line, and then you add some paper and move the entire box down by however long or however much you need to lower or move it higher. My gosh, words are very difficult for me today. So that's the only change I've made right on the pattern before I even cut the muslin, because I know with Cashmerette patterns, I need to lower the bust dart by 1 inch. So that's my front ready. Now, hopefully you'll be able to see this, but the size I decided to make the muslin in is the usual size I make with Cashmerette patterns, and that is a size 18 with the GH cups graded to a 20 at the waist. So I cut on the 18 line up to below the bust dart, and then I start to grade out to a size larger, so to the 20, so that by the time I get to my waist, I'm at the 20, and then I stay at the 20 line all the way down. And then the back, well, I have not made any changes whatsoever to it. Now, one other thing I'm going to do as I'm cutting my muslin is I'm going to mark where the pockets are going to land on me. I'm going to mark a line at the waist to see where the waist is landing on me. And I'm going to mark on the back where the little belt thingy is going to land on me, because that is also supposed to be at my waist. All right, so there we go. So I'm going to cut. I have some muslin. I bought some real muslin fabric. It was on sale on Amazon, so I bought 2 bolts. So I'm going to use real muslin to make this mock-up of the Newcomb coat, starting with just these 3 pieces and with just the one adjustment, and making sure I mark the fabric for all of those landmarks. And then after I put the muslin together and put it on, I'll turn the camera on again and film me trying on the muslin and see what other adjustments we might need. All right, so, oh gosh, can you even see me? Yeah, you can, hopefully. All right, so here's the muslin for the Newcomb coat. I only put 1 sleeve in because I was lazy and didn't feel like putting the 2 of them in, but really good fit. So I put in one of the shoulder pads, and hopefully you can see, like if I get closer, look at how good the shoulder fit is with the shoulder pad. Mind you, there's going to be a lining too, but yeah, so this is really, really good. I like where when it overlaps and the collar's on, I like where that sits. Then the bust darts are in the perfect spot. I did lower them by 1 inch. They're a little bit long though, so I might shorten them a bit. The side seam is nice and straight. There are 2 marks there because I need to move the waist up to the 2nd mark. Yeah, because it's too low. The same thing for the back. There's going to be like some kind of belt, or I don't know what that's called, but there's going to be a thing back here. I need to move it up to the waist as well. Length, it's really, really good. So because I'm going to move the waist up, I need to remove 1 inch from above the waist, and I'm going to add it back below the waist so that my pockets land in a good spot and that the length remains the same. But yeah, I mean, other than just a few length adjustments and shortening my bust darts, because they're touched too long. They're too close to my apex, and that bugs me. So I'm just going to shorten them a bit. But other than that, this is really, really good. So now I can adjust my pattern and cut into my nice wool. All right, so now that I've tried on the muslin, I think I know exactly what I need to do. So I've cut out all of the pieces, because to make the muslin, all I did was print and cut and assemble the pieces for the outer coat. But now I've printed and assembled everything, and oh my goodness, there are a lot of pieces to this coat. So many of these I'm not going to need to make adjustments for. So like pockets and collars and that kind of thing, I'm not going to need to touch. So I'm just going to set those aside. But I need to make the adjustments to both the lining and the outer coat for the length adjustments I'm doing. So I've got my front lining here. So I'm going to need this. All of these small bits. Look at all of this stuff. So all of these small bits, collar, pockets, under collar, interfacing pieces. Oh my goodness. Look at all these pieces. Pocket flaps, upper pockets, lower pockets, buttonholes. Yeah, I mean, it's going to take me 5 hours to cut this thing out. But anywho, that's going to be another video problem. All right, so I've got my front lining here. I've got the facing, so the front facing I need to adjust. I have my back lining, so I'm going to put these to the side for now. Oh, and I hope I'm not making too much noise with these pieces of paper. All right, so this is the sleeve. And I don't even know if I mentioned it when I filmed myself trying on the muslin, but this sleeve length is perfect. So I am not going to touch this sleeve. It fits great, and it's the perfect length. So I don't need to worry about this. I'm going to set this aside for now. I need to, hopefully, yeah, you can see this. So this is the waist notch right here. So this is the front, obviously. I've already lowered the buzz dart, and I mentioned that before. Now I just need to move the waist dart up by 1 inch, but I don't want the coat to be shorter by 1 inch overall. So I'm also going to add 1 inch under the pocket. So basically I'm taking it out from here and putting it here. And then I want to shorten the bust dart a little bit. And I don't even know if I'm doing this correctly, but yeah. So my bust dart ends right here, right now. And I want it to be shorter by about 1 inch. So I want it to end here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start from the existing leg. And I'm just going to draw new legs. And hopefully that's going to work. So there we go. So when I cut this out now, I'm just going to trace my new dart that's going to end right here. Now I'm going to very quickly show you how I lengthen and shorten. So here I put a line through the waist, and this is the line I want to bring up 1 inch. So I also drew a line 1 inch above it. So I'm just going to cut right through the pattern piece, right at the line I drew at the waist. And I'm going to take the whole thing and move it up to the second line I drew. Now, what I do to make sure I stay on grain is I make sure my grain line is nicely straight. Where's my Scotch tape? So I'm just going to stick it right down here. So now effectively my waist is 1 inch higher. Now you might notice that there's a little bit of a jog here. That's fine. When I cut my fabric, I'm just going to smooth that out. That's really not an issue. And then what I need to do is add 1 inch right here. So I'm going to cut, yeah, I'm actually going to use the lengthen and straighten lines here. So I'm just going to cut right here. And then I'm going to stick some paper underneath there. All right. So I'm adding 1 inch, so I don't need like a super wide piece of paper. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of tape together a strip here. Like this. I'm going to stick it under the top part. Like this. Then I'm going to take my long ruler and draw a line 1 inch below the pattern piece and extend my grain line. I don't want to reach, so I'm just gonna draw my grain line here so that when I attach the bottom part, it's easier to see if I'm staying on grain. Well, there you go. So I'm just gonna line this up like this and then stick it down. Okay, and then all I need to do is basically remove the excess paper on both ends. All right, so effectively I've added 1 inch here and then removed 1 up here. So the overall length of my coat doesn't change because I did like the length, but my waist, where it goes in a bit on the side, can you even see that? Let me move this down a bit. See where it goes in over here? Like I really want this to be at my waist, not at, like not the smallest part of me basically. So there you go. So I've lowered my bust dart. I've made it shorter. I've moved my waist dart or my waist notch up and then added the inch back into it. And that should be all the changes I need to make. I'm obviously going to make the length adjustments to the back as well and to my lining pieces. Now, technically, let me see if I can find my facing here. The facing piece here, I should do the exact same adjustments, but the bottom line is I added no length and there's no shaping here. So the only thing I need to do is this notch here is no longer going to match to my, I think it's going to match to this here. So the only thing I'm going to do is move it or put a little note for myself that the notch really is here now. So when I mark the notch on my facing, I'll mark this one, not this one. And that's it. Like I don't need to change anything else. So I'm going to adjust my lining pieces and my back with the exact same thing. Oh, one of the things I wanted to mention really quickly, and I can use the sleeve for that. So you'll notice, and I mentioned that before, I graded, right, between an 18 at the top and a 20 starting at the waist and all the way down. When you're cutting your pieces, if you grade, you need to remember where that piece is going to get attached to the body of your garment. So the sleeve, for example, I cut the size 18 sleeves because the arm size is a size 18 here. I didn't grade to a size 20 yet. So keep that in mind whenever you're cutting pieces and you've graded between sizes. Think about where this piece is going to get attached to your garment and whether your garment is the smaller or bigger size at that spot, if that makes sense. This could get very confusing when you have things that basically span both sizes. Like, for example, is it the Pietra pants that have very funky pockets? that are very, very long and you fold them and things. Because I grade between my waist and my hips, it got very confusing to know where I needed to grade or not grade and all of that good stuff. But in the case of a coat, in the case of a dress, or a top, for example, usually it's pretty straightforward. You just need to remember what size the upper body of your garment is and then cut your sleeves the same size. All right, so I think we're good here. I'm going to make all of these adjustments to my pattern piece, and then I'm going to go through the marathon of a cutting session, because there's main fabric, there's lining fabric, there is interfacing and a ton of it, and 2 different kinds of it. And then I need to fuse all of that stuff before I can start sewing. But that's going to be for video number 3. I have to say, making the muslin has given me a boost of confidence and has gotten me really excited about making this coat. Now, the number of pieces in this pattern is a touch discouraging, and I know I have a very, very long cutting session in front of me, but still, I think I'm gonna have a coat that fits me really, really well in the end. So yeah. So make sure you are subscribed to the channel, because in part 3 of this series, I'm not going to show you how to cut fabric. I'm pretty sure you already know how to do that. But I am planning on maybe talking through the trickier parts of sewing this coat. Again, not that I'm pretending to be an expert at any of this, but I'm hoping that by talking through the process out loud, this will be like a note for me that I can refer back to, because I do that a lot, refer to my own videos. And then maybe it's going to also help you. Now, if you have any comments or any feedback about how I'm doing things, if you know of a better way, please, I would love to know. So put that in the comments for this video. Come back for video 3 and let me know in that video if there are any tips and tricks that I might have not known about or forgotten about, that sort of thing. All right, so that's going to do it for me for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please give this video a like if you liked it. Again, consider subscribing if this type of content is something you really enjoy. And I will see you soon.